I want to thank all the distinguished guests who are here and members of Congress who've made time to come to the White House this afternoon. And people representing a broad spectrum of Americans who all cherish the relationship that the American people have enjoyed throughout these 69 years with the people of Israel. It's humbling to be here with you on this remarkable and even a hallowed day. As Secretary Stephen Mnuchin to Ambassador David Friedman. To Senator Orrin Hatch, who has been a great champion for Israel all these many years in the United States Senate. Distinguished members of Congress, including Congressman Peter King, who's with us today. The Republicans and Democrats who are gathered here, honored guests, my fellow friends of Israel, thank you. On behalf of the President of the United States, just thank you for being here today at the White House to celebrate this day, the anniversary of a moment that will be remembered for eternity. You're all here, all of you, regardless of your home, your creed, because on this day, the 5th day in the month of Iyar, in the Hebrew calendar in 1948, nothing short of a miracle occurred. On that day, in the ancient and eternal homeland of the Jewish people, the state of Israel was reborn in our country. On that day, the Jewish people's 2,000-year exile, the longest exile of any people anywhere, ended. And on that day, a prophecy literally came to pass. And I believe in my heart that God himself fulfilled his promise to his people. The Lord God tells us in the old book, "Behold, I will cause breath to enter into, and ye shall live." And Israel lives today. Today and every day, the state of Israel and her people bear witness to God's faithfulness as well as their own. How unlikely was Israel's birth? How much more unlikely has been her survival? And how confounding against all odds, both past and present, has been her thriving. Since the moment of their independence, the Israeli people have awed the world with their strength of will and their strength of character. They've turned the desert into a garden, scarcity into plenty, and the people of Israel have turned hope into a future of security and prosperity. And at all times, in war and in peace, the people of Israel, the Jewish people, have held their heads high. Every day, Israel takes the curses and slanders of too much of the world and turns them into blessings. The dignity of the people of Israel rebukes all who condemn them, not for what they do wrong, but they condemn them for what they do right. And under President Donald Trump, let me assure you of this: if the world knows nothing else, the world will know this: America stands with Israel. President Trump stands with Israel for the same reason that every freedom-loving American stands with Israel, because her cause is our cause. Her values are our values, and her fight is our fight. And President Donald Trump is a lifelong friend and supporter of the state of Israel and its people. You know, I've seen firsthand the president's deep affection for Israel and all who cherish her, and so has the world. Just last week, President Trump stood with Holocaust survivors during the National Days of Remembrance, and he declared, quote, "I will always stand with the Jewish people, and I will always stand with our great friend and partner, the State of Israel." For my part, my Christian faith compels me to cherish Israel, as well as our deep alliance and historical ties. The songs of the land of the people of Israel were the anthems of my youth when I was growing up. You know, my wife and I had the privilege of visiting Israel in 2004 and 2008, and we fulfilled a lifelong dream to bring all of our children to the Holy Land in December of 2014. It was a joy inexpressible. So let me say with confidence to all who are gathered here, President Trump stands without apology for Israel, and he always will. Just look at the actions our president has taken since he took office. The president named David Friedman to represent the United States of America in Israel. The president named Governor Nikki Haley to be America's ambassador to the United Nations. And the President of the United States, as we speak, is giving serious consideration to moving the American embassy in Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And to be clear, the President is also personally committed to resolving the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. Even now, we're making valuable progress toward the noble goal of peace. Thanks to the President's tireless leadership, momentum is building and goodwill is growing. And that while there will undoubtedly have to be compromises, you can rest assured, President Donald Trump will never compromise the safety and security of the Jewish state of Israel, not now, not ever. President Trump has made it clear America stands alongside Israel, his friends, and his allies, as together we confront those enemies who threaten our people and all that we hold dear. Since the moment of their nation's birth, there's hardly been a day when the people of Israel have not lived without war, or the fear of war, or the grim reality of terror. Know today that our prayers for the safety of the people of Israel, each and every day, go from the hearts of the American people to heaven. And know that Israel does not stand alone. Today, under President Donald Trump, America's support for Israel's security is at record levels. And in President Trump, America has a leader who will call our enemies by their name. And I want to promise you, as the fight even goes on now in the precincts around Mosul in Iraq, even in northern Syria and Afghanistan, this president is determined to keep his promise to the American people. ISIS is on the run, and we will hunt down and destroy ISIS and terrorist organizations at their source so they can no longer threaten our people, our allies, and our most cherished ally, Israel. And under President Donald Trump, America will stand strong in the face of the leading state sponsor of terrorism. This administration has put Iran on notice. America will no longer tolerate Iran's efforts to destabilize the region and jeopardize Israel's security. Under President Donald Trump, the United States of America will not allow Iran to develop a nuclear weapon. This is our solemn promise to you, to Israel, and to the world. History attests that enmity toward the Jewish people often turns from evil thought to evil action. The state of Israel bears witness to this truth. On this day, so many years ago, only 3 years after the horrors of the Holocaust, Israel was given life by a people who had looked into the eye of the angel of death. The Jewish people had persevered through history's darkest hour. For in that darkness shine the light of faith, of hope, and of love. It was faith that led the Jewish people to return to their ancient homeland. It was hope that spurred them to strive with all their strength for a brighter future. And it was love for each other and a love for freedom that has inspired the Jewish people to greatness at the hour of Israel's birth and every hour since. And so today we celebrate and we marvel at all that Israel and her people have accomplished. We praise their vigilance and resolve in the face of crisis and condemnation, and for their enduring courage in this time of widening challenges and unknowable threats. And today we remember the sacrifice of those who gave so much for Israel's existence, and for those brave men and women who stand sentry at this very hour. Israel is an eternal testament to the undying fortitude of the Jewish people, to the unfathomable power of human freedom, and to the unending faithfulness of God. Indeed, though Israel was built by human hands, it's impossible not to sense that just beneath her history lies the hand of heaven. For as God tells us in His Word, speaking to His people so long ago, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I believe these words are as true today as they were in millennia past, and so I say with confidence, with your help, with God's help, through the strength and courage of the people of Israel and all who cherish her, and with President Donald Trump in the White House, the best days for Israel and America are yet to come. Thank you very much. May God continue to bless and protect Israel and her people, and may God bless America.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President, for those inspiring words. I have to say that my father was a distinguished rabbi who passed away some 12 years ago, and as I listened to the Vice President, I heard his words as well. Those were extraordinarily inspiring words, and I'm very grateful for them. Ladies and gentlemen, Chag Yom Ha'atzmaut Sameach L'chol Ohavei Medinat Yisrael. Happy Israel Independence Day to all those who love and admire the State of Israel. My heartfelt thanks to President Trump and Vice President Pence for initiating what we hope will be a joyous annual event for many years to come. Some 3,000 years ago, the great biblical warrior and poet, King David, established the United Kingdom of Israel with Jerusalem as its capital. Over the millennia, the Jewish people in Israel faced calamity after calamity, including assaults from such ancient regional powers as Rome, Syria, Egypt, Greece, and Babylonia. But a courageous core always persevered, overcoming physical threats, poverty, and other challenges to remain in their beloved homeland. For some 400 years prior to World War I, Jews in Israel were subjects of the Ottoman Empire. With the conclusion of the First World War, that came to an end and a new Jewish Commonwealth began to take form. By 1948, the Jews in the land of Israel, weakened by the atrocities of the Holocaust but determined never again to return to those dark days, established a provisional government with the endorsement of the United Nations. On May 14th, 1948, corresponding to the 5th day of Iyar on the Hebrew calendar, today's date on the Hebrew calendar, David Ben-Gurion read Israel's Declaration of Independence from a museum in Tel Aviv. The world waited with bated breath to see if any nation would recognize the nascent state of Israel. The world would not have to wait long. Within minutes, President Harry Truman, against the advice of many within his own government, offered the endorsement by the United States of the reborn State of Israel. And as a testament to the subsequent unanimous support of the United States for America's ever-deepening relationship with the State of Israel, we are now here today celebrating Israel's Independence Day at the White House. Israel's birth was not easy. Many of its citizens paid the ultimate price for their country's freedom in both full-scale and limited wars, from 1948, 1956, 1967, 1973, 1982, 2008, 2012, and 2014, not to mention intifadas and countless terrorist attacks. The State of Israel remembered her fallen just yesterday on Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Remembrance Day. But today, 69 years to the day from its declaration of independence, Israel stands as a first world nation, a beacon of freedom and democracy, and a world superpower in science and technology. As it was in 1948, Israel is and always will be a cherished ally of the United States. With an unbreakable bond based upon shared values and commitments, mutually aligned interests, and perhaps most important, extraordinary friendship among its people. If King David were alive today, I have no doubt that he would proclaim in the words of Psalm 118 that he wrote so many thousand years ago, Zeh hayom asah Hashem nagila v'nismecha bo. This is the day the Lord has created. Let us celebrate and rejoice. It's now my pleasure to introduce the first of our two remaining speakers. My counterpart, the Israeli ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Ambassador Ron Dermer. In my short tenure as the United States ambassador to Israel, I've had the opportunity to work closely with Ambassador Dermer. What I found most striking about his approach to diplomacy is his continuous search for the win-win scenario, the approach that best serves both of our nations. I look forward to many years of success in working with Ambassador Dermer to strengthen the relationship between our two great countries. It is my pleasure to introduce Ambassador Ron Dermer.
I want to thank Vice President Pence for hosting this special and even maybe historic event, and for his profound friendship to the Jewish people and to the Jewish state. Now, you saw that friendship when he rolled up his sleeves to help repair a desecrated Jewish cemetery in St. Louis. You heard that friendship in his moving speech to AIPAC in March and in his speech today. And he has shown that friendship throughout his public life, as a congressman who was a steadfast defender of Israel, as a governor who signed the toughest anti-BDS legislation in the country, and now as vice president, as a vice president who is a true champion of the U.S.-Israel alliance. Now, on a personal level, I have known the vice president for many years. We have gone to a Pacers Heat game together, which the Pacers unfortunately won, forcing me to bear the humiliation of wearing a Pacers kippah all around Indianapolis the next day. We went to the Indy 500 together, where a driver named Knaan almost pulled off a miracle. And given our tendency to attend sporting events together, perhaps it is only fitting that the Vice President would invite me here to what I consider the first ever Yom Ha'atzmaut tailgate party at the White House. I want to thank the President pro tempore of the Senate, Senator who is here today, and you'll hear from him in a couple of moments. Senator Hatch has been a tremendous friend of Israel throughout his career and literally wears Israel close to his heart, literally. I also want to use this opportunity to congratulate once again my counterpart, the new U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman. As I told David last week, good ambassadors figure out the pulse of a country. Great ambassadors can feel the pulse of a country. And that's why David is going to be a terrific ambassador to Israel. Israel looks forward to your arrival in a couple of weeks. hopefully followed by the arrival of another unnamed senior U.S. official. I also want to recognize Jason Greenblatt. Jason, I think you'll agree with me that we have spent far too much time together over these last few months. You're only working on trying to bring peace to the Middle East. How hard can that be? I mean, why all these meetings? Just let's get on with it. But seriously, Jason, it is not every day that you meet someone in such a high-profile position who is such a mensch, and it is an absolute pleasure to work with you, so thank you.